So, great. All right. I'm Kathryn McKaye Pretty. I'm with Lawyers Financial. And thank you very much for being here today. I do truly appreciate it. So I hope that when you leave today, you feel good. You've got some information that you didn't have before. And there'll be lots of room here to answer some questions. So just start a little bit. In case you don't know, Lawyers Financial, part of CBIA, the Canadian Bar Insurance Association. We are essentially operate like a not-for-profit organization, and we service lawyers. Our mandate is to service lawyers. We are here for lawyers. Our products and solutions are meant exclusively to help lawyers, and of course we're governed by a board of directors governed for lawyers. So there's a lot of security knowing that everything that we do is really intended for the best of your well-being, your firms, and your family life. Now, I know some of you had some seminars talking about kind of the challenges that lawyers are going through. So hopefully there's some solutions here. Mental health issues, I think, was part of some of the discussions this week as well. So we do recognize that, and I will touch on that today, some of the product solutions we have. And we've kind of framed it up in terms of, how can we help the happiness of a midlife, mid-career lawyer? Some ways that you can help put your own oxygen mask on first. We do know how hard that you work, and like everybody, you are juggling a career and a family life and maybe other things as well. But we really do want to, first of all, recognize that and give you help to reiterate that. Give yourself the permission to give yourself oxygen first. And of course, talk a little bit about the journey of the career, the journey of life, how insurance and investments and Lawyers Financial can help you along the way and be flexible and convertible. And of course, we do know the final outcome of what happens at the end of our journey. We do provide planning, we provide insurance, we provide investments and overall protection, but first and foremost, it's the advisory, and I think you will enjoy hearing this. We are pro bono for you, 100% complimentary, free advisory services on a complete suite of end-to-end, not just insurance, financial planning, investments, defined benefit pension plan, and of course travel and home insurance as well, and financial planning services. So a complete suite of services for you. Welcome. A little bit. Also, we have best-in-class investment solutions. As I said, a defined benefit pension plan for law firms any size. And we operate from private wealth, so discretionary wealth management for investors. So if you do have assets over $1 million of investable assets, and a lot more flexible investing programs, direct investing, do-it-yourself, or some portfolio management. So we have an excellent team that can work with you on a variation of investment styles and strategies and where you are. Again, I say this personally and corporately. So I'm speaking, if you do own a law firm and you would like some information on how you can make some of these products and services work for you as a corporation, and as well speaking to you as the person looking at how you're going to invest for your family and your retirement. So I do like this slide. I think it's pretty relevant. We framed it up as happiness and the mid-career lawyer. There will be challenges throughout your career, and what we have noticed, obviously, and this might be a little obvious, but doesn't mean it's not as impactful. Age 40 to 50, this is where we see the dip in happiness and increase of stress levels. So we would obviously like to recognize that we are very, very aware of the challenges that you are going through as a lawyer, and of course as an individual. So we're here, believe it or not, insurance to provide some happiness, framed up by, is it enjoyment, is it a little bit of satisfaction, and are you fulfilling your purpose personally and professionally? So what I'd like to do is give a little bit of insight overview. Hopefully you'll walk away with some new insights you didn't know before on how Lawyers Financial, specifically some of the insurance solutions, can help be flexible for you as a foundation throughout your career and throughout your life as well. This slide, it's sort of an all-in-one slide that I'd like to call out. I do love it. It speaks a little bit to how insurance and investments, investments also operate with insurance solutions here in Canada, work together. So many people are quite familiar with term life, might be familiar with disability and critical illness, and for the most part that's sort of where it ends when I have conversations. But there's a lot more to it, and it does work. It's fluid, it works and changes and transitions over time, much like everybody does in your career. This is just a great illustration to show how the products work together and when you really should have this type of coverage throughout your lifespan. Most people have term life, not everybody, but most do, and are familiar with the simplest of term life policies. So it's a life insurance policy, provides a death benefit or capital, 100% tax-free on your death to whoever you assign a beneficiary to. And I always recommend, in most cases for term life, for life insurance, make sure that you assign a beneficiary. Don't leave it to go to your estate, because the purpose is you would like the capital to transition tax-free to your beneficiaries. Term life, think of it as you're renting insurance. You don't own the policy. You rent it, and when the term is up, you hand it back. It's like a lease, leasing an apartment. Permanent life insurance you own. So some people do know a little bit about permanent life insurance. You actually own it. It's yours. Think of it as you own your home after you've paid off the mortgage. You own your permanent life insurance policy after you've paid the contract, whether that be for 10 years or 20 years. That is the concept. What most people don't know is term life, and I'm just speaking in generalities, most term life contracts will give you the provision to convert portions of it into a permanent life policy, which is always a good conversation to have. Most term life policies will end somewhere around age 70 to 80, depending on who the carrier is. And at that time, we still need insurance after 80 because we have capital gains taxes, we have estate taxes, we have a little bit of taxes that are owing, fees, funeral at the end of our life, and we're living beyond the age of 75 or 80 for the most of us. So that's where permanent life insurance comes into play. If you have a term life policy, again, most policies allow you to convert portions, so you start pulling over values from your term life portion into your permanent life policy. You do that through an application. The great part about that is if you own a term life policy for many years or decades potentially, your health could change. And if you were to try to get into a permanent life policy fully underwritten while you're older, you're at a higher risk of either being declined or paying higher rates. Take advantage of the contract privileges of doing it while you have a term life policy, because usually you can start pulling it over without any medical underwriting. You now have a lot more time to start using your permanent life policy to invest in, because many of them will offer a variation of ways to invest funds tax deferred. So if you're potentially maxing out on your RSPs, you're maxing out on your TFSAs each year, you'd like a third opportunity to help grow some tax deferred wealth, that actually happens within a permanent life insurance policy. So there's lots of opportunity to have good discussions there if you're interested. And as well, you can use the funds that grow in permanent life policies within your retirement years, depending on how the contract is set up. As well, what I would like to call out is you can own this corporately. So there's a lot of tax advantages, strategies as to why you as a lawyer, if you have your own firm or if you're a partnership within a firm, why you might like to have this conversation with us on corporate ownership of policies, the advantages, better tax rates, dividend rates, and then of course how to manage the wealth within a corporation. So a lot of really good insights on life insurance, whether you own it personally or corporately, that we can have with you there. Disability insurance, which many are aware of, disability actually has a lot of other features. So It's really meant, if you own it personally, it's meant to subsidize your income if you're disabled. So you're disabled, you can't work at your job function, and you're at risk of losing your income stream, your paycheck. Disability insurance will subsidize your income based off of how much you earn to help keep an income there while you rehabilitate and get back to work. For most Canadians, if you don't return to work, let's say after a few months, and it transitions to a year, a 2 or 3 years, if you're disabled longer than 3 or 4 years, there's a high rate that you will probably not return to work, or at least at the career that you've been in. So you've been forced into some other line of work, or you're not working at all. So the disability insurance helps provide transition benefits, and some of the policies also help provide rehabilitation or a back to work structure as well. And again, it's called income replacement. And about 30% of Canadians will go on disability within our career. So it's a very high number that you will file for disability. You can own this corporately, and it has to make sense for your corporation as to why you might want to do it, or you own it personally and then have the benefits paid to you personally. Under the disability umbrella is also some other concepts called we have business overhead expense insurance, and this is a corporate policy. It's a disability. It's a corporate policy where the corporation owns it, and should you become disabled and you are no longer providing a revenue stream into the corporation, then what it will do is help offset some of the fixed overhead costs of your corporation or your firm. So that's a few acronyms: business overhead expense, business overhead insurance. That falls under the disability, and that is available to you through us for discussion, if that makes sense as well. And then we also have critical illness. Sometimes people confuse critical illness with disability. Disability replaces your income if you cannot work at your chosen profession. Critical illness pays a lump sum if you're actually diagnosed with an illness or a chronic disease, and that's a lump sum payout given to that person to help manage the cost of the disease or get through the treatment. And that's what critical illness is about. And again, the statistics here in Canada on the rate males and females who will be diagnosed with a critical illness disease and requiring some form of lump sum subsidy is very high. OHIP will not cover a lot, here in Ontario, does not cover a lot of the common drugs and treatments that most Ontarians think they do. So well worth having a critical illness policy. And again, some of these policies can be owned corporately, and then if you do have a company and you're looking at a law firm health and dental plan, you can also have this provided through Lawyers Financial. So we offer that. And then if you are working for a firm and they don't, or you're a small company, they don't offer that, you can own this privately. So just different variations. The permanent life coverage, as I said, is actually a little bit more than just life insurance. It does involve a little bit more planning in terms of how much investments, the type of policy you would like, and then of course the requirements that you may be looking at during your retirement years, and this is where we can help at Lawyers Financial. So, and it comes down to, you know, having a really good conversation around where you are, some of your biggest goals, and maybe some of the hurdles that you know you're facing within your career, where we can help, and just ask the questions, you know, what's really important to you. And what we do always say is, you know, just take some time to put your oxygen mask on first, because we do understand the strains that lawyers are going through, especially in your career. And just a few minutes meeting with us will just help navigate some of the options that you guys have. And again, rates, so the stress level, psychological distress and anxiety disorder rates within the legal community that we have access to, 37% of lawyers are stating that this is a cause for concern and an issue that they are managing. I think this number is probably a little low. And it's certainly not acute. It does, I think this impacts a longer period of time during our careers and lifespan. It's just not sort of an on-off switch. It's a little bit more of a systemic issue that, we certainly do have services that can alleviate some of the strain, because when you are strained, obviously it will impact your income, it will impact your ability to work in your career, and as we know, it's a high stress number, and the financial situation for lawyers is pretty significant, and we do understand the cost of running a firm and the stress that you guys are under. And we also know, as I said, because we are run by lawyers, we're managed by lawyers, everything we do is for the legal community, we do understand that your career has been probably your biggest investment. So we would like to be able to provide solutions, whether it's for your family or your law firm, to help you just navigate financially, or if it's any health or mental issues. We do have some services that can help you there. And as I said before, the rate of disability claims is pretty high. 1 in 3 Canadians will file a disability claim. And if you're out for longer than the 3 months, chances are you're going to be out for a few years. And some of our plans we do offer, depending on your income stream or what you're taking from your company, the plans can cover up to $16,000 a month in coverage of income replacement or disability. And we also know that you're working longer, so our plans will go up to age 71 for your income protection. We do have, embedded within some of these policies and plans is some features, some riders, like a mini policy, or a rider is a mini policy or a mini option on these plans, and they keep pace with inflation. They're called COLA, cost of living adjustments. We also have some own occupation riders, which provide some flexibility in terms of the disability as well. And it does keep pace with your income. So it's a very flexible plans and quite affordable as well. You will see a little bit of pricing discrepancy there, males, females. The difference, which I'll just call out, is females do recognize some disabilities and file and get claims. So that's the difference between, not to say that females or males have higher rates of disability, it's just on the claim. So, and here's a little bit, I guess, just being transparent on what happens during our life. We know our journey and our outcome. And some statistics, unfortunately, only 60% of Canadians have insurance, life insurance. 100% of Canadians will die. So, yeah, there's a gap there. And what I would like to call out is, insurance is a very broad, it's a word used to cover broad needs of risk management, whether it's term insurance that you take the opportunity to use a little bit more strategically for your estate planning needs, or if it's disability insurance. They all have a need for us throughout our careers, but we do understand that you will have significant life changes, career changes, and each of these products under the insurance umbrella is meant to provide a tangible benefit to you as you start moving along. It's also meant to be very flexible as well during your lifespan and career. Term life, I did talk a little bit about in the beginning. It does guarantee you a death benefit should you pass away earlier than you thought. And it's a 100% tax-free death benefit payout if you assign a beneficiary to it, which I do recommend in most cases. Don't leave it to your estate for personal insurance if you can avoid that. And term life, we do have options where you actually add your children. This is a conversation that I like to have with parents, because what you're doing is essentially giving your children insurability. If you add them as a rider, a little base policy to a parent's policy, that child can then take that policy when they become an adult, about age 25, depending on the contract. Usually it's between age 21 and 25. They now are guaranteed an insurance policy for the death benefit value that the rider was added on for 5 times the value. And then, of course, that child, now young adult, has their own guaranteed policy that they can then move ahead with and take advantage of all the embedded contracts and provisions and features within that policy to move throughout their lifetime. highly recommend it, that parents look at this option, not just for the unfortunate event that if there's a bereavement of a child, the death benefit pays out, but more importantly that you are giving your child an early start to potential estate planning, wealth funds, transitioning that term policy into other options throughout their lifetime for that child as well. Term life, we also recommend taking a consideration if you are looking at purchasing properties, owning term life as opposed to buying insurance through a broker or through the creditor or the loan or the bank, whoever you're getting that mortgage through. Most people might not be aware, but as the principal amount of that loan decreases, as you start paying down your mortgage, if you purchase the insurance tied to that credit loan, the mortgage broker, as the principal is paid down over time of that loan, the insurance premium remains static over time. And then, of course, in the event that there is a passing, the creditor owns that policy, so it goes back to them. So it's really important that if you own your own life insurance, you can use that as collateral corporately or privately against loans, and then you dictate how it's paid out on your death. And of course, the loan values could be different at different points in time. So it's better if you own it personally as well. And the rates would be, generally speaking, probably quite lower if you owned it yourself. Living benefits, always recommend you can add a living benefit like a critical illness rider to your term life. And then there's other features that you can add provisions on conversions with your term life policy. So very useful policy that actually has lots of functions to it as well, and can provide you with a lot more in terms of estate planning as you convert and move along. And then just showing a little bit of term life rates there for $500,000 of coverage. Males are slightly higher. They have a higher mortality rate than females, so that's the pricing difference that you'll see there as well. Now, what we also have is everything that I spoke of also applies to the corporation. So if you are a lawyer or an associate partner that does have an investment in a corporation or your law firm, a lot of these policies you can own corporately. And again, if you're looking at building wealth within your corporation, you can own policies corporately. If you're looking at ways to attract talent into your company through a defined benefit pension plan, we offer that as well, group health and benefit plans. And we can also help lawyers who might be interested in buying into a law firm, policies called a buy-sell funding agreements. This is used with either term life insurance or permanent life insurance products, estate planning for the lawyer. And if you are looking at perhaps growing some wealth corporately, having that asset on the books, you can use corporate permanent life insurance policy for that. And then that would be a separate detailed conversation that we would have with the firm owners and of course your accountant on the best ways that would work as well. And of course we are here to provide financial planning. So we do have a team that does a really fantastic job of financial planning, cash flow, tax strategies, how you would like to build wealth through your retirement, whether the wealth is sourced corporately or it's private wealth. We have this team that's available to you, and it's complimentary. It's pro bono, it's free. So you can call upon us anytime for investment solutions, direct investing, insurance, retirement planning. We have a whole A to Z for all of you. So that's available, as I said, complimentary through Lawyers Financial. And anything else that you might require in terms of looking at your group plans, we can have that discussion with you. So that's a little bit of an overview. If you guys have any questions, I'm happy to answer live or offline if you're not comfortable asking questions right now. But other than that, thank you very much.